Okay children, the next point we shall be going with, that is the Lok Sabha. Here pay attention, we are going to discuss, as the topic suggests, it is Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha and the speaker. What are the elements in the whole of your parliament we shall be discussing in detail. We have lots of points in that one, but it is not even that very in-depth syllabus is given to you. It is how much a citizen of a country should understand, how much a level of 10th standard should understand, at least that much, but still it is very important, so it should not be taken in lenience. The whole of Lok Sabha, the whole of Rajya Sabha has lots of points and you should pay attention towards that. First one coming, it is Lok Sabha, as we say, the House of Members. We have Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. When the names itself, when you are talking about, the meaning says it is Lok, यानी कि the whole of the people. हम लोगों का है, लोक है, locally we are, so it is known as Lok Sabha. And we can even call it as lower chamber. Sometimes we call it. There is no particular reason why we call the Rajya Sabha to be the upper house and the Lok Sabha to be the lower house. The Britishers have given that name and we are continuing with that name. And this Lok Sabha refers to the house of people. We are the one because we elect the people. And who are the elected people? Are they belonging to some royal family? They are one from us. Who are electing and who is getting elected? We all are one. So in that we say it is the house of people. We call it the lower chamber. There is no specific reason why we call it lower chamber, but this is we call, and that is the higher upper chamber. Then we have, it is decided that at the time of our constitution, it is decided like the capacity or the number of seats, whatever we should have in the parliament, seats we should have in the parliament, that should not exceed 552. That should not exceed. Because the number of states we have, the way we have gone with the constituencies and all, 552 should be the upper limit. That is what we have decided. In that also the specification has been given that it will be 530 seats will come from all the states. We have 28 states, and when in the very beginning, when our independence, we have taken our independence and the first constitution in 1950, the first constitution we have released and we have become republic. At that time we just had 14 states, larger states we had. Later on we started dividing, subdividing, and now we have come to 28 states and 8 union territories. Whatever the states be. But from all the states, it is according to the population you have, the ratio of that many seats you'll get into your state. We can't say the same, every state is having equal, we can't say, because it is like Madhya Pradesh, Maharashtra, Rajasthan, these are the larger states. And you can't compare that to the Kerala one. To be the very small state, you can't go with the Goa. So this Kerala is a small state, so whatever the population you have in that, on that proportion, the number of seats will be decided. Now at present, we felt like we can increase. But at present we are having 545 seats in the country, coming from all the states. Okay, from here it is 552, 530 seats come from all the states. 20 seats will come from union territories. And the 2 members from Anglo-Indian group. What exactly is this Anglo-Indian group? It is when the Britishers were in the country, they married to the Indian ladies. And the children are called as Anglo-Indians, and they belong to the minority group. So to support them, as they are also the citizens of the country, they should not be discriminated. So to support them, 2 seats are reserved to them, and that is recommended, who are the person is recommended by the president. So that becomes, this is the composition we had. But see the present strength we have, it is 545 seats only we are taking into consideration, but we are covering the whole of the country. Every constituency is covered. 545 seats including 2 Anglo-Indian seats also. So the recommendation given by the 2 people who are recommended by the president, they are included, and we have total number of 545 seats. This is the first topic, which we say it is the House of People. Going to the second one, it is election of members. It is generally, we know, it is you're about 14 to 15 years and you know what these elections are. Every 5 years these elections will be going on. Little of civics we know, but we are supposed to go into little of the details, and later on also you'll be going with the different kind of details. of election. In election we have like it is one is direct election and the second one is indirect election. This Lok Sabha we have the direct election. Whoever is nominated and the candidate we have in front of us, we all the citizens of the country who is above 18 years, 18 and above are eligible to go for the voting. And this is known as adult franchise, universal adult franchise. When we say it is universal adult franchise, the whole of the universe, we have the world, we have considered 18 to be the appropriate age where we have mental and physical maturity level. So we can think about, we can take our own decision. This is how we have decided. In the very beginning we actually had when it was the revolutions were going on, the French Revolution was going on. At that time they have decided 25 years was the time. And it was only for the men, the women and the children were not allowed. Such kind of discriminations were. Later on they decided it is 21 years and only men, no females and children. So next on when it started coming and when we got our independence in 1947, we have taken a very daring step. At the very first stretch we have taken this universal adult franchise because we wanted to show that to the whole of the world that at the first stretch we have taken, and we wanted to show that we don't have any discrimination, we don't practice any discrimination in the country. When this step was taken, we have even included the SC/STs, the untouchabilities have been removed. Lots of great steps we have taken when we were framing the constitution. So the second part, it is election, the direct election, that is for Lok Sabha. The indirect election, that is for Rajya Sabha. So here you are having the direct election where we are involved as the citizens of the country. We are involved, we are involving, and then we even follow the universal adult franchise. Let's go to the third point. So coming to the next point, it is the parliamentary constituencies. When you are talking about the Lok Sabha, it so happens it is the elections we are supposed to go with. So Lok Sabha is a form of like we want the representatives and the election should go on. So it is parliamentary constituencies. Constitution and constituencies are very different meanings and words which relate it is similar, but it is not similar. So constitution is a set of rules and constituency is the area. For example, if particularly this is a particular state, say it is Gujarat, it is a particular state, and we are trying to divide this state in different forms. We are not trying to divide it in the form of districts, villages, not in that form. See what is the division I am trying to say. I am giving a bigger size here, a small size here, then a very large size, this thing. Unevenly I am trying to divide, and I have divided in this one, and this is known as your territorial constituency in each state and union territory. Every state has its own division, and this division is based on the population the state is having and how the population is living in the country. The number of people, for example, if I say whatever the constituency I have divided, I have seen that at least 100 people, for example only, it is not 100 people in a particular constituency, it is not like that. We are overpopulated country, we have lots of thousands of people live here. So if at all I say it is 100 people in one constituency, I have seen that nearby, it is not exactly 100. It should be 90 to 100, it can be, so that all the constituencies are almost equal in number, so that when we go for the voting, and from each constituency we have one representative going to the parliament. He wins the election and he goes to the parliament. So we want to see that the number of people in the state are having equally we are trying to divide. And at least in each of the constituency, I have seen that according to the state, equally I have tried to divide, or according to the whole of the country, we have divided. So 100 members in each of the constitution, approximately we are putting them. Somewhere you can have 98, somewhere you can have 90, not less than that. So 90 to 100 you can have a person in one constituency, and that constituency will be like having one representative. In this way we have divided the whole of the country, and we have 545 constituencies. That is what this main word constituency is. And we have the division of the constituency. It is not a map work. It's just a parliamentary work. The parliament goes on with the state, goes on with the divisions and all, and it can even make the changes in between. If there is a accumulation of population in one of the areas, he can change. Chief Minister can change, and they can make a new constituency and they can get it approved from the Lok Sabha. So these changes can be going on. That is for the purpose of the parliament only. At the time of elections, these constituencies we have. We go to a particular center, we are casting our vote there. From where are we going and from whom are we going, whom are we selecting? These all are based on this constituencies. The territorial constituencies in each of the state and the union territory elects for the Lok Sabha and the state assembly. Lok Sabha is the parliament, the central one. We have two-tier system. In the first board we have talked about, and the Lok Sabha and the state assembly. State assembly becomes your state one, that is for your CM. Lok Sabha, that is for your PM. And we have 543 plus 2. 2 is your Anglo-Indians and it is coming from your President's recommendation. The tier system, whatever this Lok Sabha and the state assembly we are saying, that is your two-tier system. We have, in our country, we have three-tier system. That also we have discussed how we have got that one. Any number of candidates can contest from each of the constituency. From every party we have one of the member standing there getting nominated, and we have hundreds. We don't have any limit. Okay, what is the limit of the parties we can have in our country, in the democratic country? Is there any limit? No limit. But at present, how many national parties do we have? We have 7 national parties, and in that our major parties are BJP and Congress. So these are the major, 2 are the major, and we have rest of it is BSP, CPM, CPMI, we have these all things. And these constituencies, they can, from these constituencies, n number of people can contest. But finally we have only one person getting elected who gets the majority of the votes. He gets elected and he will be the member in the parliament. So from each of the constituency, and this is only one example I have given, this is a state. The same way every state has their own arrangement regarding the constituency, and they shall be going as a representation, they shall be going to the parliament. This is your constituency. The next point comes, it is reservations of the seat. Why is that we want the reservations of the seat? We have some minority classes. Like 2 seats we said it is Anglo-Indian, that is a kind of reservation. Next we have 49 seats, that is not fixed. 2 seats is fixed. You have to give the 2 seats to the Anglo-Indian, that is fixed. We have 49 seats based on the number of people we are having in our country in the category of SC and ST. So we have decided this is the percentage of this SC and ST. So 49 seats should be given to them, and that is the reserved seat. 2 seats from the Anglo-Indians. SC and ST, that is 49 seats, that is reserved constituencies. In this reserved constituency, for example, now come here, in this particular area, it is the concentration of the reserved, like it is SC, STs. This area it is reserved. This area and this area it is reserved. So 2 seats we are reserving for them. And if there is the concentration of these people, one community people stay in an area. In that way the constituency has been divided. From there, one more thing they have put into the constitution, saying from the reserved constituency, the SC/ST candidate only can stand. We, the normal people, cannot stand. We cannot be the representative there, because they wanted that person will better know the problems of these people, SC/ST people. They have lots of problems. So those problems are better known by their own leader. So it is from this only those people can stand as the representatives. It can be from any of the group or any of the party. But it is only those people. The other citizens of the country are not allowed to, at least from this 49 seats. They are not allowed to contest from there. It is n number of people, but only SC/ST. Normals are not allowed. Here only the members of SC/ST are allowed to contest. This why we have done? Because the proper representation of the weaker sections is shown. We want to show that support. So we have decided these all, the constitution. When we were making the constitution, or the constitution makers, मेधावी लोग जो बैठे थे वहाँ पे, those all people have taken so very clear steps, so much of in depth they have seen. It is each and every point they have gone into discussions, and they have come out with such kind of points where there should be no clash in the country, where there should be the peacefulness in the country. In that way they have decided these all points. We shall continue with the next point. So coming with the next point, we have voting. And when we say it is voting, it is whatever the system we have here, that is known as secret ballot system. We first used to have the ballots. We used to have a paper, and in that paper it is the sign of the party, and you are having a space here where you have to put the, and you have all the signs this side, and you have a box here where you have to cast your vote. So this was, you were supposed to go into a secret, you can see that one, and you can secretly go inside. You are instructed how to do, but nobody can come along with you inside. So you will be going inside, you will be casting, you'll fold that one and put into the ballot box. So this is known as your secret ballot. So that was the system of democracy, that every democratic country does that one. And cast vote without fear. Whoever is forcing you, might be your husband is forcing, your father is forcing, this is the party you are supposed to vote. Once you go inside, it is nobody is along with you, so you can cast your own vote because you are matured enough and you are 18 years old and you are above, and you can think about the good of yourself. So in that way, it becomes the cast without fear because it is a secret ballot, and without fear you can cast to whoever the leader you want to, you like, and you can cast for them. Then the election has been like it is. First we used to have, now also it is secret only, but before we used to have the ballot papers. Now we have the EVM machines, electronic voting machines. So this EVMs, like it is the same way the paper way only, but it is a machine, and you just go and put your finger, press, and you cast your vote for that particular party. So the EVM machine procedure, that is into the technology we are into. So we are using, India is using the EVM techniques here. The next one goes with the qualification. The qualification is citizens of India. You have to be, to go into the election, you are interested to stand in the election, you are interested to get nominated. What are the qualifications you should have? First is you should be the citizen of this country. You can even have the migration, somebody, other person coming here, you going off to the other country, but your citizenship should be of this country. Even if it is a foreigner or any other of the country person, if they are having a citizenship, permanent citizenship in this country, of this country, they are eligible to nominate, get nominated. So they can contest the election. So you should be the citizen of the country, and to be an elected person, you should be above 25. To cast your vote, you should be above 18, and to receive the vote, you should be above 25 in Lok Sabha. This is only for the Lok Sabha you are going with. Next it is no criminal records, because you are going to be the representative of the country, so there should be no criminal records, and you should be clear with all the criminal records. You should have a clean chit. So you will be like, you are going to rule the country, you are the role model of the country. If you have the criminal record, it is not going to be like it is, we don't accept such kind of. So we have put this rule into the constitution. If anyone is having any criminal record, they are not eligible to go into election. That is the qualification. We have put a main one there. Then nominee in any constituency. If I belong to Gujarat, doesn't mean that whatever the state I am into, whatever the constituency I was born, I should contest from that only. Not required. I can contest from any of the whole of the country, wherever I want to, if my party is allowing me. For example, as we have Narendra Modi this time, from where did he contest? From Varanasi. He doesn't belong to Varanasi, he is a Gujarati person. Where did Rahul Gandhi contest from? From Kerala. So this is, we can as the party can shuffle, and we can go for any of the areas, we can get nominated from any of the constituency. Cannot serve in any government post. Once you are getting nominated, once you are getting elected there, you have to leave your government post, whatever, you have to resign. You cannot serve any, you can't have two of the posts here. As I am serving as the Prime Minister of the country, and I am in some of the offices and the government office, I am even holding that one, and I will be having two of my salaries, not allowed. Once you have thought of, okay, I shall be going into the contest, I shall be contesting, I shall be going off into the election, I shall first resign from any of the government post. then only I will be eligible to contest, to come into, that is the qualification to enter into Lok Sabha. If I win, that is no possibility that I can go into. I can have my own companies, that is not the point here, but I should not have a permanent post in the government offices, and in the private offices also I cannot serve those offices. I can have my own company, I can own a company, and some of the employees will be working there. I am not directly related to that one, that should be. So, but better here you go with it is, cannot serve any government office. So, the next point we shall be taking. Coming to your next point, it is your disqualification. Before this we have talked about the qualification. Now there are some points where we don't allow the people to come into the, go and contest the election, become a nominee of. So there are some points we have to take care. And some of the opposite points of your qualification can be the disqualification, but the last ones are little more important here. So the first one, it is holding any government of, in that also we had, we should not hold a government office. If you are holding, you are disqualified here. There you are not supposed to hold any, we have told. The same point here also, it is you are not supposed to hold, you have to resign that one, then only you can go into the nomination and you can you can contest the election. You should not be insane. Insane is you are not mentally healthy. You are not able to take the decisions properly. We don't say mad there, but the mental condition of the person is not proper, is not certified by the doctor. If it is certified by the doctor, if the person is not sound or healthy with the mind there, then we say insane. So if the person is of that kind, then the nomination is not allowed. Undischarged insolvents. If the person has taken any of the loans and he is not able to repay back them and he is having lots of debts onto him, this is undischarged. He is not able to pay back due to some or the other reason. He is having the loans like it is from any of the patterns or any of the banks and all, and he has become insolvent person. So at that time also, even those will be checked. What is the property he is having? What are the debts he is having onto him? These all will be checked. If he is found undischarged insolvent, then also he will be not allowed for the nomination. Not the citizen of the country, that is obvious. In that also we should be the citizen of the country, we have read in the qualification. So here it becomes not the citizen of the country. I am Indian, I was born as an Indian, but I have taken a citizenship of some other country. Then my Indian citizenship is dissolved. Then I cannot contest here. I don't belong to India anymore. I am a NRI. I'll be a foreign country's citizen. So I cannot contest here anymore. So even if I am Indian born, then also I am not allowed if my citizenship has changed. If at all I am a foreign born and I have settled in India and I am having my citizenship of India, then I am allowed. So I should prove myself that I am a citizen of India. Found guilty. If I have committed any of the crimes, if I am involved in any of the crimes and I am found, I have convicted as a guilty, मैं गुनहगार हूँ, then I will not be allowed to go for the nomination. I should not be found guilty. There can be cases, but that is proved that I am guilty, then I will not be allowed. Now next comes it is if I am involved in any of the corruptions and if any of the case is onto me, then also I will not be allowed, because we expect the countrymen or the people who are with the politicians who are going to rule the country, they should be a role model. If they themselves are corrupted and we see that we are voting for them and they are going to rule us, a corrupted person is ruling us, so that is not a healthy competition or that is not nice for the country. So we even take care the person is not involved in any of the corruption activities. Sentenced to imprisonment. If the person is sentenced to imprisonment, if he is jailed due to if he is found guilty due to any of the convictions, and if it is more than 2 years, I have been jailed for more than 2 years, then after release till 5 years, I am not allowed to go into. As soon as I release, I am allowed to. This is not allowed again. After my release, I have 2 years के ऊपर मेरा वहाँ पे सजा काटना हो गया. बाहर आने के बाद, it is after coming out, next 5 years I am not allowed to have my nomination. After that, everything was clear. Then again I will be allowed to go for the nomination. If punished for, we have particularly some of the topics like it is dowry, untouchability and sati. Sati is obviously not there now, we are not practicing it anymore. But dowry and untouchability में अगर हम पकड़े जाते हैं उस केस में, then हम लोगों को 6 years के लिए we are removed from. These are particularly we feel they are the anti-elements or anti-social elements of the country. So we don't allow these all things, but still in some of the other areas they are going on, but particularly the politicians who are interested to nominate themselves, at that time if they are caught guilty in these particular three, mainly these 3 points, they are not allowed disqualification for 6 years. So from there on for coming 6 years they are not allowed, and if at all they rectify those points, then only they are allowed. If they don't rectify, that is totally they are not allowed, they are not allowed to come into the politics at all. This comes to your disqualification. Right? Clear? The next point is oath of affirmation by the members. Affirmation is acceptance. Whenever it is Rajya Sabha, Lok Sabha, they got elected but they are getting accepted into the parliament, then they have to take a oath before the president. Before occupying the seat, they take an oath before the president. If by chance it is 100% president only will be giving the oath and the people will be accepting it, they have a paper and they are accepting it, we have the oath ceremony going on. If by chance in any of the cases the president is not available there, the member he appoints someone in there, or it can be the vice president as well. Or if he also is not there, then somebody he appoints as, in my place you shall be going with this ceremony. So that person will be going and handling the oath ceremony there. So before we can say it is the president to be the main one, and before occupying the Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha, after the elections, whatever the direct and indirect elections, they will be having a vote ceremony and then they will be occupying their seat. They are allowed to go into the parliament and occupying the seat. Here this is like after you have won the election, what the members have to do, this is what we are. So we are taking an oath of confirmation, affirmation of the members. First the oath ceremony will go on. He will bear what is that he is going to say, what is that he is going to have in the oath. Then he promises that I will be a faithful and true to the whole of the constitution and my country. I shall work very nicely for my country. This is what they are going to take up oath before the president. He will bear the true faith. He will be very faithful and he will be very truthful towards the constitution and the country, and he will be acting according to the rules and regulations only. He will uphold the sovereignty and the integrity of the country. Integrity is ekta, integrated. We all are one. This integrity of the country and sovereignty is the supremacy. My country is above. If I am the PM of the country is above or I am above. The country is above. So I will be promising, if I am taking a vote there as a PM, then I shall be promising, मैं अपने country को किसी भी हालत में let down नहीं करूँगा. It is उसके supreme powers, उसको supremacy को, उसके शान को मैं हमेशा बरकरार रखूँगा. This is sovereignty. So the supreme power of my country, I shall be upholding. I shall be seeing that it is not tamper और मेरे द्वारा उसको कुछ नुकसान नहीं पहुँच रहा है. This I am promising in front of the president. He will faithfully discharge his duty. He even makes us promise whatever the duties come in front of him, whatever the emergencies, duties, general laws, whatever comes in front of him, he is very faithfully discharging them. He is not trying to manipulate, he is not involved in corruptions. ऐसा करके वो promise करता है वहाँ पे, then only he is going into the parliament and he is taking his charge. Whatever the seat he has won, he is taking the charge, and from there the story of his political life starts. So this is his vote taking ceremony once he gets elected or he gets the majority and he wins the election. So the next point goes on with, it is vacation of a seat. We are vacating the seat. It is हम लोग वो seat वहाँ से छोड़कर vacancy वहाँ पे create हो रहा है. Vacation of the seat. You are disqualified on some of the, how the seat is getting vacant from. First is obvious, it is if I am not satisfied with my particular seat or job, I resign. So this is first one, we go with the resignation, and I shall be submitting my resignation letter to the speaker or the chairman of the parliament. So I shall, whoever the member is, first they will submit their resignation letter to the speaker. In that way, that seat gets vacant. If I am the Prime Minister or any of the cabinet minister, if I am finance minister, if I resign, then the finance ministry post is vacant. Now that has to be refilled by, and that process is different. So how a seat gets vacant, that we are discussing here. If absent from all the meetings for a period of 60 days, it is not only always the leader there, if any of whoever is required there, the minister, the cabinet ministers and all, whoever is there, continuously is not attending, and for 60 days whatever the meetings have been taken place, he did not even attend to one meeting also, he will be put into disqualified position. He will be removed from there, and that seat also gets vacant because he is not responsible person. It is proved. So he is not attending any of the meetings, so he will be disqualified from the position. So that seat also gets vacant. Disqualified by a provision of the constitution. If he is violating any of the rules of the constitution. So constitution, what it says, if these are the rules and these are not taken properly or violated by any of the people, so what is the action to be taken? That action is removing the person from the post. So if the constitution is violated, the person will be removed, and there are many clauses. It is not just I have any of the rule has been violated, I am removed from the post. Not that easy. We have some clauses in that also. In that kind of process also we can be removed from, and that seat can be vacant. That is what he is trying to say. If disqualified by defection, on defection, what is defection here? If a person moves from one party to other, this process is called defection. If he belongs to or he was in Congress and he jumps off to BJP, then the person has gone into this process is known as defection. Now the BJP example, the BJP is working and a person is in one of the positions there, in one of the ministry he is working. Now he jumps off to Congress, for example. He jumps off to Congress, means the seat has been vacant. He can hold the seat and he can become the member of Congress is not possible. So when he is jumping off from one group to other, whatever the position he is holding, that will be disqualified again. So that will go off into a vacant seat. Again they have to go with the filling of the seat with other alternatives in their own. The party will have their own concerns, meetings and all, and they will go with the filling up of the seat. So this defection also will lead to the vacancy of the seat. So now the next point goes on with it is tenure of the house. Generally we know it is tenure is the time period. How long a time period? What is the time period of Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha? That is the general part we know. After every 5 years we are having the elections, means it is the tenure. The new election comes, the new parliament is set, the new Lok Sabha is set there. So these all things happens after every 5 years. So tenure, normal tenure goes with Lok Sabha is 5 years and Rajya Sabha is 6 years. The 5 years. It is dissolved by the president. See, for example, what happens? It is, for example, if BJP is already ruling the country, and we are having the 5 years have been completed and the elections have been conducted, again BJP is only in power. It got its majority. Now BJP again has to come into power. It doesn't mean the whole of whatever the previous one, पुराना वाला जो है उसी को continue करते हैं क्योंकि हम ही लोग जीत गए हैं. That is not the process. Even if they were the previous one and they are the new one, they are the same new one, even at that time they have the vote ceremony, they have the shuffling, the whole of the Prime Minister have to resign and again get the vote and get the appointment letter from the President. हर 5 years में ये process होना ही है. It's not like last year also, last tenure also we were there, so this tenure we are continuing. This is not the process. After every 5 years, a fresh start is given with a fresh, all the list is given, the vote is given, the appointment letters are given. This is the process. And the president dissolves the whole of the Lok Sabha and he takes the advice from Prime Minister. During the emergencies, at the time of emergencies, what happens? It is the 5 years is about to complete and we are supposed to dissolve it, the new election. लेकिन उस बीच में कोई emergency आ गया, like wars हुए, like calamities हुए, we could not conduct the election. So at that time they take a decision कि 1 year we should give an extension to the parliament to go on with, Lok Sabha to go on with. The tenure extends by 1 year at a time. We should decide. We don't know if war comes. Is there any guarantee that within 6 months the war is going to complete? Within 1 year the war is going to complete? We don't know how long the war will go. But the decision should be like, we should take only an extension period of 1 year at a time. After you have completed that 1 year, matlab you have completed your 6 years. After that, even that emergency is continuing, again you will take a second start, saying that 1 more year extension is given. At a time you can't say 4 years extension is taken, you can't say that one. At a time, 1 year extension will be given to you. If the emergency is continuing, then definitely that will extend to the second year. Third year, fourth year, say it is 10 years. But every year, 1 year extension will be provided to you. Period of 1 year at a time. Not extended beyond 6 months. Means here, see, once you have taken a decision, the 5 years have completed and the first year you have taken an extension, you have declared your country that we are having a 1 year extension, we are not having elections and a new parliament or the Lok Sabha is not established. The 1 year, before that 1 year, the completion of this 1 year, our emergency has come to an end and we have started our regular one. Regular assembly has started, the legislative assembly has started. And when it starts, that 1 year extension should be removed before it completes 6 months. It should not be like 1 year extension has been, so we will be ruling the country for the next 1 year, so nicely 6 months, 6 years we will be ruling. This is not the point. When the emergency, whatever point the emergency comes to an end and we have restored our normal life, normal procedures, within 6 months that tenure should be stopped. Not extended beyond 6 months. After the National Assembly ceases to operate, the National Assembly has come back to its normal position and everything is in the normal way. So when it comes within 6 months, it should be dissolved. You cannot take that extension, this 1 year extension you cannot continue. When it operates from there 6 months and you have to stop. When you have taken a decision, we are extending for 1 year and because we have an emergency, within 2 months we have completed that emergency by grace of God. We have completed, we have come back to restore our normal procedures, the National Assembly procedures. Within coming 6 months, before that also, within coming 6 months, you have to dissolve and you have to go with the election. And you have to form a new one. This is how many times we had. We even had it as, even only for 11 months also we had a Prime Minister. Because we had some of the emergencies and due to some conditions, that is a different case. So we had sometimes, one time we had it is for 11 months, one time we had for 7 years we had, where we did not go for any election. 2 years extension we got. So this is how the tenure can be changed, but at a normal way, it should not extend beyond 5 years. After every 5 years, we have elections. So we have next point, it is the sessions. Sessions when the parliament is meeting or the Lok Sabha is having a meeting. It doesn't mean these people, they meet every day, 365 days they go to the parliament, they are having the meetings, they are talking. Then when are they going to do the work? So they have particular sessions and in that particular sessions they have to meet according to their whatever the debates are going on. Those particular personalities only will go and attend the sessions. And rest of the time they go back to their areas and they work. They go with the policies which are to be executed and all. In that direction, we have the sessions are actually called by the president. Summoned is called. It is announced by the president. The timeline between two of the meetings, it is told like altogether like it is 2 meetings at least should be done. Twice it is to be done within a year. The whole of the parliament, the whole of the Lok Sabha should meet twice a year, and there should not be one meeting and one meeting. There should not be more than 6 months gap should not be there. Matlab it is simple. After every 6 months there should be a meeting, and it is twice a year the meeting should be conducted. That very simple. Must meet twice a year. We have some sessions also. In that particular session we expect all the members of the parliament, Lok Sabha, come and have a meeting. The sessions are open like it is budget session. They are open from February to May. The parliament runs, all the members have to attend, they go with the discussions and all the various discussions goes on. In February the budget is released. So this is known as your budget session. So the people will be coming, the parliamentarians will be coming and they will be attending the period, and this is almost like it is 4 months period. So 4 months the parliament will be open. Next you say it is monsoon session has started. We listen to in news and all, the new monsoon session has started. Due to the heavy rains, the monsoon session which was scheduled got postponed. These all kinds of news we listen. So this is what is happening. The monsoon session starts, it is July to September, and this is still 3 months. 3 months the session goes on with. The winter session starts, it is November to December, 2 months. Rest of the months they work, they go back to their places and they work. And these, when they are having the sessions going on, exactly they are in Delhi, they have to attend, they have to go to Delhi and they have to attend the sessions. But how are these Lok Sabha people getting elected and coming to parliament? They are from the all over country. So they go back to their places and they work there, and they again at the time of the sessions they come to Delhi and they have to attend the, like it is office, जहाँ हमारा office है हमको वहाँ पे जाना पड़ता है. So these are the session times and you have to come to your office and you have to attend. This is the very important point here. The president can convene, he can call a joint meeting. It is always like the Rajya Sabha is different and Lok Sabha is different, and we are having our own meetings, and like when the bill is being prepared, Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha and President, this is the procedure going on. So here sometimes if there is any kind of, if President feels it is emergency, if he feels something should be discussed collectively, then he can call whenever. It is not required he has to, whenever he feels it is necessary, when and as he feels it is necessary, he can call for the emergency call, and he can call both the houses at a time and he can conduct a meeting. So here it is, this is very important point. So convene a joint sitting of both the houses as and when necessary in the parliament. He can call for this one. The next point goes on with quorum. What exactly this quorum is? We have how many seats we have in parliament? It is 545 seats. We have discussed this one, and we don't even expect, it is whatever the sessions we are talking about, it is all the 545 members should come and attend, and every time they should be in the, that is not even required. The parliament is conducting some kind of its debate. Whoever is related to that debate, we expect those people at least to come and attend the debates and discussions and go for the policies and law makings and all. There are lots of procedures in the parliament. So here we are talking about quorum. In this we minimum expect, when I have, for example, if I am conducting a class test of, and I have a class of 40. So I minimum expect it is 50% of the students are attending the class, attending the test, then only it is liable that I conduct the test. If only 4 and 5 children have come and every other children did not come to the test, they did not attend the test. So what is the meaning in conducting the test there? So that way, that is quorum. The number of people who are minimum, we feel like they are minimum, at least 50% people should be attending. That is my quorum. What is parliament's quorum? They say the number of people, whatever, like it is 545, out of that 1/10 of the people should be attending to these meetings, then only the speaker will allow the meeting to go on. Or if they are not below that one, for example, like it is 545, so what becomes, it is nearly about 55 members at least, including the speaker, at least should attend the meeting, then only the meeting can go on. So here the minimum number of the people required to conduct the meeting is known as your quorum, and the Lok Sabha, it is 1/10 of the total strength. The total strength, उसमें से 1/10 वहाँ पे attend होना ही चाहिए. At least 55 members, including the speaker, they should be there. The people, the speaker also is included into that. 54 plus 1, that is 55 members. If the quorum is not meeting this number, if it is going below that number, then the speaker adjourns, यानी कि उसको cancel कर देंगे, उस meeting को उस दिन के लिए cancel कर दिया जाएगा. Next day a date will be given, and again we expect the quorum is available there. The meeting, the parliament is meeting that quorum, then it will be conducted. We shall be discussing about the MP salaries and allowances. In this MP salary, it is taken from the consolidated fund of India. It is charged from that one. Whatever the India's fund is being collected from that, they keep on charging for the whatever the salaries they have to decide for the MPs. every tenure this will be revised. And along with this one, it is told, for example, if we say it is 1 lakh is your MP salary, they have decided per month it is 1 lakh, it is the MP salary for this tenure. So in this again they will be having some of the allowances. It is the parliamentary allowances will be given, like it is 45,000, and you have some other allowances, it is 45,000. Like many of the allowances will be added on to that salary. Salary is confirmed, and you have some of the allowances also they can ask for. And in many of the companies also we have the allowances going on. Now they give the allowances, it is along with the salary, they give the house allowance, then medical allowance, travel allowance. These all allowances we get in the same way. These MPs are also given with the allowances. MP's pension. If MP रहने के बाद, if he is crossing more than 4 years, then he is eligible for pension. He has just worked as MP for 3 years and he got resigned due to any of the reasons, as we have discussed before, the vacations, resignations and all. In that case, when he is getting removed as an MP, then he will be not entitled for pension. Pension is after retirement. He will be, after the tenure is over, the whole of the 5 years they have completed, after the tenure is over, he will be entitled for pension. After we have, like it is the government officers and all, we complete our 60 years of service, till 60 years or 30 years of service we complete. When we are going back to our houses, we are given a little payment, so that is supporting us, because we have served the country. Our young age we have served the country. In the old age, the company will be serving us. That is pension. So if the MP serves more than 4 years, exceeds more than 4 years, then only he is entitled for pension, or else he is not. If the MP more than, sorry for you, it is 5 years. If the MP more than 5 years, he has worked as MP for more than 5 years, then he is given some extra payment according to the extra years he has gone with. 1 year extra उन्होंने किया, 5 साल के बाद 1 year extra किया, तो extra उसका 1 year का पैसा अलग से मिलेगा. अगर 2 years extra किया है तो he'll get the 2 years extra money. The last point here in your Lok Sabha, the last point here goes with the languages in Parliament. Generally, we have thought of in Parliament we shall be using the official languages, that is Hindi and English, and we can have the debates. Conversation goes on in the Hindi and English. But in some cases, it so happen the speaker can allow, in sometimes only, in some very rare cases, the speaker can allow, if the person is not able to communicate in English or Hindi, not able to understand both of these languages and not able to communicate, then they allow that you can speak in your mother tongue. They have the translators, they have the headphones, they have the translators, we have the technology working. If I am speaking in Telugu or Tamil language, the other people can understand, it is immediately translated and it will be into their preferable language. If I want to listen in English, if I want to listen in Hindi, we have the technology. So sometimes it is allowed, and it is on the basis of the permission is given by the speaker, or else it is not allowed. So this comes to an end with your whole of Lok Sabha.